The secrets of learning a new language. The best place to meet a lot of polyglots is an event where hundreds of language lovers meet in one place to practice their languages. There are several such polyglot events that are organized all around the world, and so I decided to go there and ask polyglots about the methods that they use. And so I met Benny from Ireland, who told me that his method is to start speaking from day one. He learns a few phrases from a travel phrase book and goes to meet native speakers and starts having conversations with them right away. He doesn't mind making even 200 mistakes a day because that's how he learns, based on the feedback. And the best thing is, he doesn't even need to travel a lot today because you can easily have conversations with native speakers from the comfort of your living room using websites. I also met Lucas from Brazil, who had a really interesting method to learn Russian. He simply added 100 random Russian speakers on Skype as friends, and then he opened a tab window with one of them and wrote hi in Russian. And the person replied, "Hi, how are you?" Lucas copied this and put it into a test window with another person, and the person replied, "I'm fine, thank you, and how are you?" Lucas copied this back to first person, and in this way, he had two strangers have a conversation with each other without knowing about it. And soon we would start typing himself because he had so many of these conversations that he figured out how the Russian conversation usually starts. What an engineer's method, right? Method, right? And then I met polyglots who always start by imitating sounds of the language, and others who always learn the 500 most frequent words of the language, and yet others who always start by reading about grammar. If I asked 100 different polyglots, I heard 100 different approaches to learning languages. Everybody seems to have unique way they learn a language. And yep, we all come to the same result of speaking several languages fluently. And as I was listening to these polyglots telling me about their methods, it suddenly dawned on me. The one thing we all have in common is that we simply found ways to enjoy the language learning process. All of these polyglots were talking about language learning as if it was great fun. You should have seen their face then they were showing me their colorful grammar charts and they carefully handmade flashcards and their statistic about learning vocabulary using apps or even how they love to cook based on recipe in a foreign language. All of them use different method, methods, but they always make sure it's something that they personally enjoy. I realized that this is actually how I learn languages myself. When I was learning Spanish, I was bored with the text in the textbook. I mean, who wants to read about choice, asking about the directions to the train station, right? I wanted to read Harry Potter instead because that was my favorite book as a child and I have read it many times. So I got the Spanish translation of Harry Potter and started reading, and sure enough, I didn't understand almost anything at the beginning, but I kept on reading because I loved the book, and by the end of the book, I was able to follow it almost without any problems. And the same thing happened when I was learning Germany. I decided to watch Friends, my favorite sitcom, in German, and again at the beginning it was all just gibberish. I didn't know where one word.